So we are week 5, day 2, healthy, flexible and strong spine. Welcome to everyone that's here live and welcome everyone that's watching the recording. So I've just asked everybody that's here live, how are you? And I just want to ask all of you watching the recording, how are you? Because the spine work that we're doing, it's quite dynamic. If your spine isn't feeling in tip-top condition, perhaps don't do everything. Or if you want to do everything, just keep everything a little bit smaller. Perhaps not in your biggest full range. You have to leave right on time or earlier. Babs, okay. Okay, great. Oh, okay, that's great, Sienna, that you've already done Monday's session. And did you feel okay? You felt good after Monday's session? Yeah, didn't aggravate anything. Okay, fab. Okay, so we're going to start with noticing our spine. So make sure you're all standing. If you're watching the recording, you need to have a band handy and possibly some balls. But just take a moment to notice yourself, how you're doing today. And I've got this lovely model of the spine. So as you're noticing your whole self, I want you in particular to notice your spine. Look how long your spine is. So I invite you even to close your eyes. Sometimes that's nicer, it can feel quieter, you can feel more in. How do you feel about your spine today? What is the language you're using when you're talking about your spine? And how does it feel? Does it feel comfortable? Perhaps you don't even notice it. And then I want you to have a sense of how long it is. So let's take one hand and place it right down here at the very, very bottom. In fact, this will look a bit odd, but I want you to lean forward slightly and just see, can you touch your tailbone? Can you feel your coccyx bone there at the very end? So that is the base of your spine. And then with the other hand, so we'll keep that hand there. With the other hand, let's come up to the base of the skull. So just below the base of the skull, that is where the top of the spine is. So if we keep our two hands here, and I'm just going to kind of circle both hands as if I'm giving myself a little mini massage. And almost just giving my brain a moment to go and take a look at spine. So this is how long our spine is. It's huge, absolutely huge. And as you're touching or massaging your spine, I want you to think about why you even have a spine. So why do you think we have a spine? What is it useful for? Then we're going to start to move a little bit as we're thinking. So we have a spine for movement. So all of these movements wouldn't be so possible if we didn't have a spine here. So if we just had head on top of the pelvis, we wouldn't have so much movement available to us. But it's also for structure and stability. And they're quite contradictory things, really, aren't they? You would think, movement and stability. And we have a spine for attachment sites, so lots of our muscles attach onto the spine. It's also a really good force converter. So it turns compression force into elastic energy. So basically it's like a shock absorber. So really important for all of us, but particularly anyone that dances or runs, it's important to have that embodiment of our spine. So as you're moving your spine now, can you almost image it as a spring? So when we have a healthy spine, it can turn compression force into tensile stretch, or basically like a shock absorber. It's like a spring. Think of any other reasons that we have a spine. It protects the spinal cord, so that's one very important reason. Okay, and then we'll slowly come back to standing. Bring arms down. And then again, just notice current status quo of spine. And even just after that little bit of touch and that little bit of awareness, you might have a slightly different experience of your posture. Or just a slightly different perspective of your spine. It may feel a little bit different. And that's really important for anyone that's suffering with chronic pain, that we start to experience ourselves differently. So we're not just regurgitating the same experiences day in, day out. There's always room for change. Okay, now we're going to rub our hands together and create a little bit of heat. So can you feel that kind of heat and that energy in between the hands? And when you think your hands are warm enough, you're going to take them just to your lower back. Just place them on your lower back. And imagine that heat just infusing into your lower back. And this is an area that a lot of us tend to get quite stiff and quite tight. So can you imagine that this lovely heat is infusing into your muscles? And your muscles can do what they do when they're warm. They can soften. They can kind of stretch out and lengthen. Now we're going to bend our knees a little bit. I'm going to go from the side. Tuck your pelvis underneath you and then flex your whole spine. And can you really imagine all of these muscles fully lengthening? And then we'll do the opposite. We're going to stick the bottom out and open the chest. Just a few times. So flexing the spine and extending the spine. So one thing that your spine needs daily to stay healthy is movement in its full range. So not just a little bit of movement, not just a bit of flexion or a bit of rotation. Every joint in the spine needs to move for it to stay fully healthy. So can you imagine the whole length of your spine flexing, so right down to your tailbone, right up to the top of the neck, and then extending. And of course, if you get any warning signs from your spine, you can make this much smaller. And because the spine is so long, we can flex one part of it, so you can flex your pelvis underneath you as you're still extending the other part. It feels a bit strange, but it's possible. And then you can flex the upper spine as you stick your butt out. So let's just try that a few times. So we lift the chest, tuck the pelvis, drop the chest, bottom out. Lift the chest, tuck the pelvis, drop the chest, bottom out. Lift, tuck, tuck, lift. Lift, tuck, tuck, lift. So that's going to be part of our spine dance in a moment. So we've got flex and extend, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you get it right today, I'll be really impressed. So this one takes a bit of practice. So the next movement, we've got a rotation. So we're going to twist the upper back. Twist and twist and twist. Now, as your spine twists, it gets a little bit shorter. So that might be a nice image. As you twist, you actually get a little bit shorter. And as you come back up to the center, you grow a little bit. So you shrink and then lengthen, shrink and then lengthen. And that's another way that your body is absorbing force. So again, very important if you dance or if you run. So we shouldn't think lengthen and twist. You can think the spine gets a little bit shorter as you rotate, and it kind of uncoils as you come back to center. So we're going to do a few of these, and then we do the opposite. So we're now going to twist the lower part of the spine. So Sienna will be really good at this one. So we're twisting the lower spine, so pelvis and lower spine, but as far as you can. So as far as you can. So I'm keeping my shoulders pretty still, and I'm twisting my lower spine as much as I can. Okay? Then, the last movement is lateral flexion, so side to side. So I'm now going to step onto my right leg and side bend over. So I'm taking my left arm over. Step onto my left leg, side bend over. So it reminds me of like a royal greeting or something. So now can you imagine your whole spine is laterally flexing? And I wonder if you do this every day. This is one of the movements that is perhaps neglected, that the spine loves. Now, because the spine is so long, We can laterally flex one part of it one way, and then if you lift your head, you're then laterally flexing the neck the other way. So we come over, lift the head, over, lift the head, over, lift the head, over, lift the head. Okay, from the top, we're bending our knees slightly, and we're starting with flexion and extension. So 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to flex, 2, 3, 4, and extend the whole spine. And flex the whole spine and extend. As we're doing this, can you stay present? And can you stay with your spine? There are a million things that you could focus on, but right now, can it just be your spine moving through space? The whole thing extending, the whole thing flexing and extending. And your spine loves this. You're mobilizing each and every joint. Let's do 2 more. And then we go pelvis, chest, pelvis, chest, pelvis, chest, pelvis, chest. I'll turn to the side. Pelvis, chest, pelvis, chest, pelvis, chest, pelvis, chest. 4 more. Pelvis, chest, and 3, and 2, and 1. Okay, now we twist, 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 twist. Did you remember from Monday we were looking at the ribs? Now you can almost image swinging your ribs around your spine. So you swing the ribs around the spine. Swing your lungs around the spine. Swing your heart around your spine. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then lower spine, twist, and twist, and twist, and twist. I'll start to get a little bit warmer. And twist, and twist. Do you remember from the digestive system week? You'll be twisting your colon. Can you kind of see that? So it's twisting, and it's twisting, and it's twisting, twisting. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's side bend. I'm stepping onto my left leg and coming over, and up, and over, up, and over. And now I'm imaging, I'm almost drawing like a capital C with my spine. So my tailbone goes in the same direction as my head. Let's add the head on the next one. So we'll come up and over, lift the head. 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 4 more. 3, and 2, and 1. Okay, we'll come all the way up. Back up to our kind of still, quiet, static stance. And again, just a moment to notice self, notice spine, notice posture. And just allow your brain to search for any improvements. Even if they're so subtle. So my improvements are that I feel that I'm more centered through my feet. I'm not quite as far back on my heels. I feel like my spine is a little bit longer. And it just feels a little bit more upright. Allow yourself to notice any positive improvements and really register them, really bathe in them, really notice them. Now we're going to bring one hand onto our belly and one hand onto the lower back. And just close your eyes for a moment. If you could take your hands through your body, where they would meet at the center, that is where the body, that's really where the spine is. So that is where the bodies of the vertebra are. So if you've kind of got a little bit of an image or a little bit of a sense of that, you can go ahead and open your eyes. So here we are here. So you have one hand on your lower back here, and these would be the bones that you're actually touching. But can you see how far back they are? And then your other hand was about here. So if you come into the center, you meet the bodies of the vertebra there. And that's really, really key, because you can see how they're made is that they're much bigger than the rest of the spine. So these are quite intricate, these little bones at the back here. And where the movement should take place is in these facet joints, and we could do a whole afternoon on the facet joints. So if you stand with your body weight quite far back, like most women do, particularly dancers do, if you have sway back legs, you're actually standing on the facet joints, where that's where the movement happens. So you can see that the design of the spine is that we have the body weight through the bodies of the vertebra. So just see if you can play around with that. So with your hands in those two places, if you rock back, or if you have your body weight too far back on your spine, it doesn't feel as comfortable. There's much more tension. But how about if you just try to move a little bit? You might also feel that there's less movement available, because it's kind of like you've locked up these joints. So now if you brought your body weight a little bit further forwards, and have a sense of the body weight being on the bodies, those lovely big chunky bodies, and that's what they're designed for, that's why they're there. So have a sense of your body weight being really in the center of your torso. Do you notice that actually your lower back muscles, they kind of switch off a little bit? They're not as tight, they're not as hard, they lengthen a little bit. So what we're actually standing on is the body of the vertebra, like we saw quite clearly. But then we're also loading the discs through the center of the disc. So if this is a disc here, we're going to be loading through the center. So there's equal kind of pressure throughout the whole disc. Whereas if we have our body weight back, can you see that's going to be pinching the disc at the back? And then you almost get this kind of bulge at the front there. So this is really, really key. Now, with this in mind, let's take our legs really wide. So if you've ever danced, this would be a second position. And now we're going to bend our knees. Oops. And straighten our knees, a big clunk. Bend our knees and straighten our knees. And first of all, just have a sense of your body weight really being through your midline, not back on your heels. Not too far forwards either, but really through your midline. It's a lovely image to have a sense of the bodies of the vertebra really in the middle of your body. Now, if you still have your hand on your lower back, I wonder if you can notice that there is a change in the lower back as you go down. Does anyone notice that the back muscles, they do kick in a little bit more? Because your spinal curves deepen. So if I exaggerate it, and it's important we don't exaggerate it as we're doing it, but just so you can see, you're going to be getting a deeper curve in the lower back as you go down. So almost more of a lordosis as you go down. Not too much, so I'm really exaggerating it. So this is what's happening almost imperceivably from the eye. Your spine gets a little bit shorter and the spinal curves get deeper, and then the spine gets longer as you come up. So the spring gets a little bit shorter as we go down, and then longer as we come up. Let's do a few more of these squats. So that actually means that as we're going down, we're squishing the disc a little bit. And then as we come up, the disc has a bit more space. So we're squishing the intervertebral discs as we go down, and then giving them more space as we come up. So like I said, really important not to exaggerate it. I'm not asking you to stick your bottom out, but I definitely don't want to see anybody tucking, because that would really impede how your body is designed to absorb force. So as a dancer, and even as a dance teacher for years, I taught a slight tuck of the pelvis, but it actually stops the body from absorbing force. Hence lots of disc issues with dancers. So can you image your spine as a spring? Okay, 5 more. This is something else that your body wants, that your spine wants. It wants compression and decompression every single day. So it wants to move in its full range, but it wants to be a little bit compressed and then decompressed. It's how the nutrients really get to every part of the spine. Okay, we're going to stay down on the next one. So hold this next one. And then we're going to move to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, right, and left, and right. Keep going, a little bit lower, to the right and left. So where is your body weight? Can it be super, super central? Right and left, right and left. To the center, come up. This time let's go down. Not sure if you can see my heels, but I'm going to lift one up, lower it down, lift the other one up and lower. So lift a heel and lower and lift and lower, lift and lower. So where is body weight? Can it be really through the center, that central axis? Let's do 8 more, 4 more to each side. And can you do this and breathe? So it's definitely a challenge. 4 more. 3 and 2 and 1. Okay, coming up. Last one, going down a little bit lower so the spinal curves get shorter. Now, if possible, I'm going to slip, we're going to lift both heels up, both heels lower, both heels up, both heels lower, up and down, up. So see if you can count to 8 of these, up and down. You're having to leave, Babs. I'll see you next week, and you can catch this, the end on the recording, so we're going to do some banding just before we finish. Nice to see you. Have a nice evening. Is that 8? That must be 8. Okay, let's come all the way up. Back to standing. How do you feel? How is your posture? How are your feet? How is your spine? Now we're going to pick up our Franklin band. And if you have visited the workouts that we've got, there's still one more workout that needs to be uploaded. And there's 3 up there available for you to watch. If you visited them yet, this is one of the workouts, or at least some of it is. If you have a loop, you're going to pop it over your foot. I double mine up so that it doesn't ping off. And I'm just starting with it on my right foot. It doesn't matter which foot you start on, just remember which one. And then we're taking feet really wide again. So as wide as they were before, and holding onto the band in between thumb and forefinger. Now this whole sequence you can do with your legs in parallel or in turnout, so entirely up to you. Okay, so first of all, we're just going to go down and come up, and down and come up. So the spinal curves get deeper and taller. Spine gets shorter and longer, like a spring, down and up. So a beautiful image for dancers, a beautiful image for runners. So every step you take, there's this lovely buoyant spring coming from your spine. Let's add the arms. So as the legs straighten, so do the arms. Can you coordinate that? So arms and legs straighten together. Down and up, and down and up and down. Lovely, just 4 more. And 3, and 2, and 1. Then we rotate. I'm going to twist to the right first. So twist, and down, and twist, down. Imagine your whole spine twisting. And 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Tricep dip, so come to the center, straighten arms and legs, bend the elbows 4 times. So 1, straighten, 2, straighten, 3, straighten, 4, straighten and recover, 6, 7, and again. And 1, 2, 3, 4, recover, 6, 7, twice more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 6, 7. Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we step off the band. I'm going to wrap it around my hand. And then we're moving into a side bend. So we come up, side bend over, come back up and down. Up, lateral flexion. Up and down. Push up. Side bend. And up and down. So where is your central axis here? Can you still have body weight through the bodies of the vertebra? It's tempting to lean back. But you'll find that you have more movement the more centered you are. Twice more. Last one. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to swap feet. We'll just do the side bends on this side. Okay, so as we go down into our bend, into our plie, the sitting bone goes wide, the tailbone goes back slightly. Then the sit bones narrow as we come up, side bend, up and down, and up, side bend, fantastic, up and down, up. So as you come over, can you keep your head in the center of your arms instead of the arms kind of overtaking? So head stays in the middle of your arms. Let's try 4 more. We've got the ribs are opening up and down. So now the ribs fully widen, fully stretch. Last one. Up, over, up, and down. Fab. Get rid of the band. Okay, now we're going to pick up balls if you have them. If you don't, totally fine. And Sienna, I should have said you can do all of this without the balls. We're just going to tap sacrum and tap top of neck. And then do our best to tap the whole of our spine. Goody and Karen, you could always tap each other. Might be quite nice. So can you tap all the way down to the sacrum, all the way up to the top of the neck? We'll do this for a minute. And as you're tapping, I want you to really feel, so I want you to feel your spine. It's being tapped, it's being vibrated. But can you also see your spine? So can you see that it's this lovely curved structure, this lovely upright structure? And the main body of the spine exists in the middle of your torso. It's not really your back, it's more your center. Now this takes a bit of coordinating, but we're going to tap and we're just going to move. in any which way. So can you just feel your spine? And can you imagine it has over 100 joints, if you include the ribs, and they all want to move and love to move in every direction daily. And that's not what most of the population do. Okay, last 10 seconds. And then we'll come up. Let's pop the balls down and stand and notice. So one way to find your central axis is the exercise we've already done, that sense of hand on the belly, hand on the lower back, and body weight really being dropped through all of the bodies of the vertebra. So if that works for you, fab. Stay with that embodiment. And another nice way is to almost imagine that you could cut yourself in half. So could you imagine that you could be cut in half on the sagittal plane, so that's front to back, kind of through your center, and where that line would be. So can you imagine it would come down through center of your eyebrow, center of your nose, through your two front teeth, your lips, your chin, your breastbone, down through the center of your belly button, down through the center of the pubic bone, center of the feet. So cut in half, right to left. And does it feel like both sides have an even awareness? Or do you feel a little bit more kind of in one side than the other? So if that is the case, just see if you can kind of brighten up the side that doesn't feel quite as sharp. So you have pretty much equal awareness right to left. And then we're going to cut ourselves in half from front to back. So that would be through the center of the head this way, through the center of the ears, down through the center of the shoulders, center of the torso, down through the hip joint, center of your knee joints, ankle joints, feet and floor. And how does that feel? Do you feel like you have an equal awareness front to back? And if not, just take a moment to see if you can just highlight the slightly shadier side. Can it become a little bit brighter? So maybe it's the back of the body that just needs to feel a little bit more online. Or maybe it's the back left quarter. So just kind of work through those quarters, and we want them to be as bright as each other, as aware and awake as each other. And then can you imagine where those two points meet? So we cut the body in half, front to back and then side to side. But where they meet, that will be your central axis. So can you stand with that embodiment or that awareness or experience? Can you stand in or on your central axis? And we're just going to stay here for a minute or so. So I was having an experience of this in the gym this morning. I was on one of those cross trainers, which I don't use very often actually, but I was noticing that I kept going over to the right. And I was really just having a sense of the less central I am, it's much more tiring for my body. The more I deviate, it's really tiring to keep pulling myself back to the center. Then I was also just relating that to everyday life. You know, the more we're kind of pulled away from what feels truly right for us, or, you know, listening to ourselves or honouring that. And of course there's going to be times that we are, but if it happens too much, I also feel that that's quite tiring for us. So Eric Franklin has mentioned that the fastest creatures in the animal kingdom have their hip joints really close together because it's very close to their central axis. So I was thinking maybe actually with you, Catherine, and running, as I was also on the treadmill, I was really imaging my hip joints being really close to my central axis, because it actually makes you biomechanically much faster. So it felt nice to kind of relate that to my kind of physical workout, but then also emotionally, how can I be really kind of in tune with this quiet central axis? So let's definitely play around with this over the next few weeks. So how can I stand and be on my central axis? Do you notice how there's much less tension everywhere? I'm not gripping my glutes or my feet or my quads or my abs. I'm really just standing using my structure. Whereas if my body weight is back, I really have to grip much more. So this will be a really nice thing for us to all work on over the coming weeks. Before we finish, I know we've gone over slightly, but I'd love to hear how you feel after today's session. If there was anything that really stood out to you, anything that you feel that you could use. Or even, how do you feel now? How is spine feeling now compared to how it felt maybe 40 minutes ago? That cute little baby, Sienna. So sweet. Hello, baby. Babs has gone. But yeah, if anyone's got anything they want to share, that would be lovely. How do I feel? I feel very in. I had a lovely message from Iski, who's one of the ladies that's joined this course, and she's had a whirlwind June, but she was talking about that kind of quiet, the eye within the hurricane. And I just really like that. So no matter how busy our lives are, and they definitely are at times, and that's how they should be, but just for us to be able to go in and just find that deep quiet, and how nourishing that is. Catherine, I've been sitting at my desk all day working. This is perfect release. Nice and warm now too. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so when, it's not the best image, I suppose, but when you sit, your sit bones are wide, hopefully. So hopefully you're not sitting with your pelvis tucked, but your spine is a little bit, it will be compressed when you sit because the spinal curves have deepened. So it's just important that we're not doing that too much. And of course, that is some of our jobs. We have to sit for long periods. I have lots of admin to do as well. But maybe to set your alarm to move every half an hour, every hour would be a lovely thing. So from Goody, feels good. Very nice to revisit movements that I personally haven't done for a while. Yeah, brilliant. And the band is so fun. Yeah, really lovely. Thank you. Well, have a lovely day. Just see that little baby Sienna, so sweet. You having some breakfast? So cute. Oh, Karen, nice to be in tune with my spine. Yeah, as I was kind of reading up for today's session, just reminded me of something that Eric often says, is that all we really hear about the spine is negative. We just hear people saying negative things about their spine. And it almost borders on like a rehearsal, like a negative rehearsal for our spine, because that's all we ever really hear about. It's slip discs or bad back. So it's really nice just to go in and notice, okay, how is my spine? How do I want it to feel? And even on those days when it doesn't feel great, just to kind of slowly start to shift your experience in the direction that you want to go. Inspired to do some work with the students at the school. Fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, especially all the central axis stuff, Goody, would be really nice. Yeah, lots of ideas. Okay, well, have a fab day, and I will see you all next week. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. Bye.